Hey, good morning and welcome to Vince. Always good to have you with us. Now on a Friday, nice to talk to you today. It's just been such a crazy busy week. I want to say hello as always to the Rumble chat watching us live, rumble.com/Vince. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day going into this weekend. And we've got a big show ahead. We've got a lot of crazy judges in the United States of America. Do you know that? Do you know how many crazy judges we have? Those who think that they're in charge of the entire United States government? A ton of them. In fact, in the last 24 hours alone, a bunch of these lunatics have jumped out and they'd like for us to talk about them. So we will. We're going to talk about them. Also, you see the judge that the FBI, led by Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, just arrested for his role in harboring illegal aliens. Yeah, that just happened. And Mike Davis from the Article 3 Project is going to join us today live. Can't wait to talk to Mike and get his perspective. He just had a huge meeting at the United States Department of Justice, talked to all of the top officials there, and he's promising some very, very big events to take place in the next weeks and months ahead. I'll ask Mike everything he knows. It's all ahead on this edition of Vince. Great to have you with us. Hey, the original promise of the internet was to provide a virtual world of equals, free from the dictates of government and business. We're really far from that original promise, aren't we? We've got big tech companies that aren't just advertising for other big businesses, but they're controlling the things you see to try to sway your vote. But there is a way to take back control of all of it, and that's with ExpressVPN. Every time you go online, your internet service provider is tracking, creating a profile based on everything that you do. Data brokers then sell your profile to whomever is willing to pay for it, advertisers and even government agencies. But you see, with ExpressVPN, 100% of my online traffic travels through secure, encrypted servers, so nobody can watch what I do, not even my internet provider. ExpressVPN also hides your IP address, that number that identifies you online. ExpressVPN is very easy to use. It takes just one click, and it works on all of your devices. Right now, you can get up to 4 months free if you go to expressvpn.com/Vince. That's expressvpn.com/Vince for an extra 4 months free. Yeah, we've got a big show on our hands today. First and foremost, we've got a judge who was just arrested by the FBI, by a couple of these federal government agencies, a lot of FBI agents there doing this arrest of a former judge by the name of Joel Cano, who was just arrested along with his wife, Nancy Cano. And these guys were harboring an illegal alien inside of their home in New Mexico. Take a look at the video just out in the last 24 hours of these guys being arrested. Look at that. That's the wife being tucked away inside of the vehicle. They came and arrested her. There's the judge in handcuffs. FBI agents arresting him, taking him into custody. Makes a lot of sense. And it's not just any illegal that this judge had in custody. In fact, this was a Tren de Aragua member in Las Cruces, New Mexico. A former judge and his wife taken into custody after authorities raided their home yesterday, following accusations that they had an alleged Tren de Aragua member living inside of their house. Take a look at this. This is from the local Fox and CBS affiliate. I guess they're kind of a combo affiliate there. This judge taken into custody, KFOX 14 and CBS 4 on the scene Thursday afternoon. That's where that video comes to us from. And they captured all this when the home of former Dona Ana County Magistrate Judge Joel Cano and his wife Nancy Cano, when U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement executed a search warrant and a probable cause arrest warrant. They describe both were taken into custody. A spokesperson for ICE confirmed they were taken into custody as part of an ongoing investigation led by Homeland Security Investigations. Cano was charged with tampering with evidence, and his wife Nancy was charged with conspiracy to tamper. The raid comes after he had resigned in March. He just resigned his post because he was caught hosting someone called Christian Ortega Lopez, an illegal alien from Venezuela. They say in the copy here, undocumented migrant. That's another way of saying illegal alien from Venezuela and an alleged TDA member. Investigators saying that Nancy hired Lopez to work on the house. The wife did. She hired him And then they said, well, why don't you live here? And then he started getting close to the daughter, they say. Look at the mugshots of these two, Nancy Cano and Joel Cano there. They say that he started getting close to the daughter, and they just had the guy keep living in the house anyway. If you brought an illegal alien into the house, first of all, problem one, he starts getting close to your daughter. Yeah, get this guy out of the house. What in the world are these guys thinking? So here you have a judge in New Mexico caught by federal authorities, forced out of his job as a result of that, and now consequences. This is the FO of the FAFO, as this judge is now being placed under arrest. The FBI on the hand to arrest him yesterday. So W's in the chat. How about the live chat? A bunch of W's in the chat. This is very straightforward. You catch the guy committing a crime. You identify who exactly it was, and then you arrest him. This is it. This is what I want to see over and over and over again. All the W's popping up in the chat now. This is for win. This is a win as these guys are held accountable. And here's the critical component. I'm glad there's video. I want there to be video. I want a walk of shame for each of these people, because when that happens, that means you get less of that behavior going forward into the future. It's a deterrent. FAFO, WWWW. So a big win for America yesterday, as this guy is held accountable for keeping a Tren de Aragua member. You know, we hear so much about these judges. They're so wonderful. These judges they're as pure as the driven snow, just wonderful, neutral arbiters of justice. And meanwhile, a judge in New Mexico is literally harboring illegal aliens inside of his home. And it's not the first time we've seen that either, by the way. We see these judges do all sorts of dastardly things. There are judges who will smuggle illegal alien defendants out of the back of the courtroom after the proceedings are over to try and prevent them from being deported because they know ICE agents are waiting at the front of the courthouse. We've seen that happen. And it is long past time for immense accountability for public officials who are violating the law, who are betraying America. Look, if you and I can be penalized merely for voting for Trump, the least that we can do is penalize the actual people who break the law. That's the least we can do, and hold them accountable. We got to right this ship, and that's a good start. So I like seeing that that judge busted yesterday by the FBI. I saw our buddy Dan Bongino sharing the news of that as well yesterday. It was a little bit something to share with you that we've got this guy in custody and his wife. So that's a very good thing. But these judges, they continue to do the craziest possible things, including, we've been talking a lot about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, that MS-13 guy who's in El Salvador. And we've got district judges here in the United States who want this guy back. They say, you know what I really need? I really need Kilmar. Give me Kilmar. They want Kilmar back. They got a bad case of the Kilmars here in the United States, these lefties. So bad that some of their emissaries, like Chris Van Hollen, will go down to El Salvador to pay him a conjugal visit. Like 4 other Democrat congressmen going down this week to pay him a conjugal visit, saying, please, Kilmar, please, I need you to come back to the United States. Of course, we don't need this. We need that like we need a hole in the head. We don't need Kilmar Abrego Garcia back in the United States. The guy's MS-13. And we need to be ejecting more people like him with rapidity, with alacrity, with haste. Pick your synonym for speed. We need to get him out of the country. And now we have another federal judge who's playing stupid games. You play very stupid games here. And here's what you get. A judge, according to the Washington Post today, another judge has ordered the return to the United States of a second migrant, they say, deported to El Salvador. That's another way of saying illegal alien gangster. The Venezuelan man arrived as an unaccompanied minor, they say, and his asylum claim is being adjudicated. A federal judge ordering the Trump administration yesterday, to bring back a Venezuelan man to the United States after he was sent to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act. It's the second time the courts have demanded that the government brings back a, quote, migrant illegal alien who had protection from deportation but was sent to a mega prison instead. Separately, the Trump administration shared its plans in federal court yesterday for notifying migrants that intends to deport under the act, revealing that detainees will be given 12 hours. Good. 12 hours to state whether they want to contest being labeled an alien enemy. Lawyers representing the migrants said that will not offer them a meaningful opportunity to contest the designation. So another judge here interfering and demanding that this guy should come back. It was Wednesday, U.S. District Judge Stephanie Gallagher of Maryland saying that he should come back. He should have been shielded from removal. The federal judge said in a court filing that an illegal alien identified only as Christian. There's a lot of these Christian variations this morning among the illegal aliens. Should have been protected from deportation because he was a part of a settlement involving several plaintiffs who were granted the right to remain in the United States while their asylum claims were processed. Here's the thing about this fella, this illegal alien. In addition to the fact that he's here illegally, ICE officials say that Christian was just convicted of a felony for cocaine possession. He's guilty. He's got a felony conviction that just took place. I'm pulling up the court document now. Check this out. Here it is. As you do, you read through the court documents, and what do you know? You start to see the truth here. On January 6, 2025, that was this year. That was just like that was a couple months ago. He was convicted in the 482nd District Court at Harris County, Texas, for the offense of possession of cocaine, a Texas state jail felony. Jail felony. So in other words, this idea that, he has this asylum claim, he can stay in the United States. You know a quick way to get rid of an asylum claim? Have a felony. Have a felony conviction right here in the United States of America. So this is who these judges are fighting to bring back to America. Well, luckily, the guy's in El Salvador right now. So yet another judge sticking her fat face into the business of the American people. I saw somebody point out, why doesn't Trump just become a district judge? You want real power in this country? Become a district judge. I think it was the Babylon Bee, actually. I think it was one of their headlines. Just become a district judge, because all of a sudden you're in charge of the entire federal government. You're in charge of everything. You don't like something the president is doing? Just object. Just object. And then the whole country needs to grind to a halt, because you, random district judge, get to tell the American people to pound sand. The American voter, the will of the American voter, upended by random district judges all across the country on a whim. And you know what the left is doing? They're judge shopping. They're court shopping. Yeah, there it is, the Babylon Bee. Trump leaves presidency to become even more powerful district court judge. It's brilliant. It's totally brilliant. Yeah, do that. Because it turns out being president of the United States, that ain't crap. That's nothing. That's small potatoes. That's dog catcher. You want real power in this country? Become a district judge. And then your whims just get to become the law of the land at any given moment. That's nuts. That's nuts. And it's long past time for the Supreme Court to step in and slap this down. And it's long past time for Congress to strip away this stupid power, because Congress has the ability, and they should do it. They should totally do it. So that's not the end of this, though. We've got lots of federal judges who are acting crazy. We have another one. An Obama-appointed federal judge just interfered with President Trump's efforts to rein in sanctuary cities. President Trump signed an executive order that declared he would cut off funding to sanctuary cities. This is how the president's been doing these executive orders, of course, which is withhold federal funding from jurisdictions that don't actually play by the rules. Makes a lot of sense. Why should you benefit from the people's money if you're not doing the people's business? No more federal funding for you. And an Obama-appointed judge called William Orrick has just jumped in the way of the president's sanctuary policies. I don't know what it was about yesterday. I think the left plotted this to be, Lunatic Thursday or something. Because I'm telling you, I've got an endless series of these district judges who are acting like lunatics yesterday. An Obama-appointed judge just blocked President Trump from denying funds to sanctuary cities Thursday. U.S. District Judge William Orrick, wait until you find what this guy's done in the past. Appointed to the bench by Obama, 2013, he ruled yesterday, Thursday, that a pair of executive orders the president signed to crack down on sanctuary cities are unconstitutional, likely, according to the judge. San Francisco, San Diego, and a slate of other liberal enclaves that refuse to work with immigration and customs enforcement sued to block the orders from going into effect. You've really got to hate your own people. You've really got to hate your own people to sue immigration and customs enforcement, who's only trying to make your city safe, only trying to protect the sovereignty of your city and of your state and of your country. You've got to hate the people who live there. Here we go again, said Judge Orrick, referring to a previous executive order that President Trump signed in his first term seeking to defund sanctuary cities. That Judge Orrick was the same judge who shot President down at the time. So how does this happen? How does Judge Orrick, Mr. Illegal Alien Invasion supporter, how does that same judge end up with these same objections in front of him, this same case in front of him, 2 Trump administrations in a row? You think this is organic? You think anything about this is natural? That's judge shopping. That's going out of your way to say, who's the guy who's going to help us execute this agenda by any means necessary? The law be damned. Well, it's Judge Orrick. It's the Obama-appointed Judge Orrick. In 2017, President Trump signed an executive order called Enhancing Public Safety in the Interior of the United States, which sought to withhold federal funds from sanctuary cities. So then San Francisco raised a challenge. Judge Orrick jumped in, said it was unconstitutional, and that the defendants, quote, faced irreparable harm absent an injunction. What irreparable harm could the city of San Francisco possibly face from keeping illegals out? The left, don't they really specialize this? They specialize in completely turning logic on its head. How is it that American citizens will be damaged by protecting them from foreign nationals who are breaking our laws? They wouldn't. They would benefit from it. So there's no harm here. The only harm is to the illegal aliens and the cruel people who are profiting off of them right here in the United States, all of whom are breaking laws. So this they're doing this judge shopping again, and this court shopping. So Judge Orrick getting involved here. And so are there solutions? Yeah, there's solutions. The Supreme Court can put its big girl panties on and finally jump into this fight and stop this from happening. The other side of this is that the Congress can actually step up and do its job and defang these federal district judges who should only have say so over their districts, not over the entire country, the United States of America. So now we have to let sanctuary cities run rampant because Judge Orville Redenbacher, or whatever the hell his name is, keeps getting the same case put in front of him because the left is doing it on purpose? Please. All right, coming up, I've got more judicial news, including the president has been trying to seek proof of citizenship when people register to vote. It's the most common sense thing ever. A federal judge jumping into that fight yesterday. Wait until you see the details of this judge's order. And then Mike Davis is ahead. We're going to talk about the United States Department of Justice and some big things to come in the weeks and months ahead. Hold tight for that. But first, I got to thank our sponsors, including My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply, so good. You know, this is a basic question for you. If the grocery store's shelves went empty tomorrow, would your family be ready? Now, I trust My Patriot Supply with my family's food security, and here's why. They've helped millions of Americans prepare for the worst. They have over 70,000 five-star reviews. And you can get their 3-month emergency food kit and keep it on hand right now for $200 off. That's a gigantic discount, believe me. My Patriot Supply almost never offers deals like this. This food kit will give you 2,000 calories a day per person for 3 months. The food tastes great. It lasts up to 25 years, a quarter century. It ships for free, and you get delivery in as little as 2 days. It's hard to get better than that. To take advantage of this deal, just go to preparewithvince.com. Look, you can't control what's going on in the world, but we can control how prepared we are. This $200 off discount is only available for a limited time, so don't wait. Go to preparewithvince.com right now. That's preparewithvince.com. Get peace of mind while it's still available. Preparewithvince.com. All right. It's this has been a wild day. So these judges keep interfering. The left keeps shopping for them, and nowhere is that more theatrically apparent than a Clinton-appointed judge yesterday. What is that? All on Thursday. Everyone did it on Thursday. A Clinton-appointed judge yesterday jumping in and blocking President Trump from acquiring proof of citizenship during voter registration. What? Take a look at this. This judge is halting parts of President Trump's overhaul of U.S. elections, including the proof of citizenship requirement. A judge Thursday, according to the Associated Press, blocking the Trump administration from immediately enacting certain changes to how federal elections are run, including adding a proof of citizenship requirement to the federal voter registration form. Now, again, just to reiterate, it is the law that you have to be a citizen of the United States to vote in American elections. Asking people to prove it is the bare minimum in order to satisfy making sure that we follow the law in our elections. The decision is a setback for President Trump, and America, who has argued that the requirement is needed to restore public confidence in elections. True. It's not an argument. It's obviously true. But the judge allowed other parts of Trump's sweeping executive order on U.S. elections to go forward for now, including a directive to tighten mail deadlines around the country. Trump's March executive order overhauling how U.S. elections are run prompted swift lawsuits. You ready for the groups? From the League of United Latin American Citizens. This is called LULAC. LULAC. For those of you who are unfamiliar, it is a left-wing hatchet group. It doesn't represent Latin American citizens. It's not broadly representing Hispanic Americans or anything like it. No, it's a left-wing, racially labeled group that just does standard fare left-wing business. The same is true of the League of Women Voters, which is also a part of this, the League of Women Voters Education Fund. Just another Democrat front organization. And then forget the front, the Democrat National Committee also sued, and they said this was unconstitutional. Now just think about this. I'm going to get into the actual order in a moment. But just think about what they're telling you. You're kind of telling on yourself, aren't you? If you are trying to block a citizenship requirement from being on voter registration forms, doesn't that tell you everything about who's voting for Democrats, or at least who they believe are voting for them? Kind of gives the game away, doesn't it? And they're doing it right here in these courts. U.S. District Judge Colleen Kolar-Kotelly in Washington sided with, the AP is being dishonest here, voting rights groups. They're not voting rights groups. They're lefty organizations and Democrats, saying that the Constitution gives the power to regulate federal elections to states and Congress, not the president. Yeah, that's true. That is true. The Constitution does convey the power to regulate federal elections to states, and wherever Congress would like to step in, it can. What the president is doing is saying, I'm going to condition federal funding on whether or not you secure our elections. That's a different thing. He's not regulating federal elections. He's saying you're just not going to get federal money to administer those elections unless you actually verify that U.S. citizens are registering. But these lefty organizations don't want to do that. So what does the ruling say? Oh my goodness. I can't get over how crazy this is. I'll just let me pull up my notes here so you can just see it directly from me. This is what I've got. So the ruling here, as I write in my notes today, is a doozy. Democrats insist that their base won't be able to vote if they have to prove their citizenship. If they have to prove their citizenship, they won't be able to vote. What? The Democrat Party plaintiffs collectively represent millions of eligible voters throughout the United States, some of whom say they're going to be unable to register to vote, or they'd be dissuaded from registering. They'd be dissuaded from registering if they needed to prove their citizenship. Well, that's That's it. That's the whole. Somebody says that's the effing point. Yeah, Texas plays. That's exactly right. That's the effing point. If you're dissuaded to vote because you don't want to prove that you're a citizen, you're not a citizen. You're not a citizen of the country. The judge also said that proof of citizenship would hurt lefty organizations in particular because they would have to update their websites. What? What does that mean? The burden that a documentary proof of citizenship requirement would impose on the plaintiffs, again, the left-wing groups, would be far more than simply a setback to their abstract social interests. Instead, it would be an impediment to their, quote, core business activities, which are registering eligible voters, this judge says. So they say, for example, a proof of citizenship requirement would render obsolete several of the online tools that the plaintiffs have developed and routinely used to help eligible people register to vote. So they would have to update their websites. That's what this means. That helping you register to vote would require you to add the line, you need to bring proof of citizenship when you register. That would be too much harm. We can't do this. So the judge says, okay, fine, no proof of citizenship then. Not right now. I'm going to block that. Additionally, the judge says that the lefty groups would have a harder time registering randos at the grocery store, random people. That these lefty organizations, voter registration drives held at churches, grocery stores, and in other public places will be less effective if there is a documentary proof of citizenship requirement, because many people who are eligible to register to vote do not carry their passport or other citizenship documents with them as they go about their daily routines. What does this have to do with anything? Oh, the people we see at the supermarket, we can't just register them to vote because they would have to prove they're citizens. Another one, and this is great, Democrats in particular would be hurt because their base is far less likely to have proof of citizenship. Once again, who said it in the chat? This is the point. This is the point of the entire process. This is why Trump is doing it. Many of the Democratic Party officials, plaintiffs, have organizational standing to challenge this provision based on its effect on their ability to register new voters as members and supporters of the Democrat Party, which they do in service of their mission of electing Democrat candidates. The DNC, the DGA, the DSCC, and the DCCC have each shown that the implementation of this section would make it more difficult for them to register voters who are likely to support Democrats, forcing them to divert additional resources toward further voter registration efforts. Well, yes. How many ways can this judge admit out loud that the point of all of this is so that Democrats can get people who are not U.S. citizens to vote for them? Finally, this is the one that had me just tickled to death, and nobody's talking about this component. Let me just focus on this. They say two of the Democratic Party's plaintiffs in particular, Hakeem Jeffries, I call him the dial-up Democrat because that guy thinks about as fast as a 56K modem. He's constantly buffering when he's trying to speak. Between every word in every sentence, he's constantly trying to figure out how he's going to get to the next one. Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have made clear showings, the judge says, of their standing to challenge this citizenship requirement to vote, to register. Jeffries and Schumer each aver that some of their constituents and likely supporters will be unable to register to vote or will be dissuaded from registering if there is a proof of citizenship requirement. Oh. Have you ever seen just a more obvious admission in a court order? Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, insofar as they have leaders in their party, it's this guy. Yeah, they're not subtle about it at all. They're just saying it outright. Jeffries and Schumer have therefore shown a substantial likelihood of political competitor standing to challenge this executive order. And because a party affiliate of an active candidate may also exercise political competitor standing, the Democrat Party plaintiffs affiliated with Jeffries and Schumer throughout the whole country have a substantial likelihood of standing to raise the same challenge. This is the point. Here, this is the overarching point. Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, LULAC, the League of Women Voters, the DNC, collectively for our purposes, left-wing election riggers. They view this as an impediment to their ability to rig elections. Therefore, they found a favorable judge who has issued a nationwide injunction and is stopping this whole thing in its tracks, when what President Trump is doing is precisely what the American people want him to do. Make sure only American citizens are voting in elections, because that's the law. There's no way this could possibly harm you unless you were cheating in the first place. So that's the update. And I'm not even done with all these federal judges. That's just all the ones I've gotten to so far. In a moment, I'll introduce our great guest, Mike Davis. Hold tight for that. I got to thank our sponsors. These guys keep this show running, and I appreciate that. They're so good. You know, what you notice as you get older, I've noticed, you try and figure out ways to stay younger and healthier. But how do we slow down aging so we can stay healthy and live longer? I'm so excited to share with you guys C15 from Fatty 15. It's the first essential fatty acids to be discovered in more than 90 years. And based on studies, we know that when our cells don't have enough C15, they actually can age faster. Thankfully, Fatty 15 can help repair age-related damage to cells, help protect them from future breakdown, and help activate pathways in your body that can help regulate your sleep, your mood, and natural repair mechanisms that support our overall wellness. Now, Fatty 15 is science-backed. It's award-winning. It's vegan. It's 100% pure C15 supplement. Fatty 15 is on a mission to optimize your C15 levels to help you live healthier, longer lives. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15.com/Vince and using that code Vince at checkout. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Yes, indeed. And then one more for you. Fast Growing Trees, an amazing company. I've got a fast-growing tree growing very quickly in my yard right now. They're the biggest online nursery in the United States with thousands of different plants and over 2 million happy customers. And they've got all the plants that your yard needs, like fruit trees, privacy trees, flowering trees, shrubs, and so much more. Whatever plants you're interested in, Fast Growing Trees has you covered. Order online, get your plants delivered directly to your door in just a few days. Their Alive and Thrive guarantee ensures that your plants arrive happy and healthy, plus get support from trained plant experts on call to help you plan your landscape. I love what Fast Growing Trees has done to my yard. I've got a beautiful redbud tree going right now. Looks awesome, and I admire it every time I pull into my driveway. This spring, they've got the best deals for your yard, up to half off on select plants and other deals, and listeners to this program will get 15% off their first purchase when using the code Vince at checkout. That's an additional 15% off. FastGrowingTrees.com. Use the code Vince at checkout. Now's the perfect time to plant. Offer is valid for a limited time. Terms and conditions may apply. Go to FastGrowingTrees.com for details. All right. Joining me now, the great Mike Davis of the Article 3 Project. Mike, good to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
It's always so good to see you. And I played for the audience yesterday some of your remarks on Steve Bannon's War Room with a lot of fascination and a lot of interest. Set this up for us again. You went to the Justice Department recently and met with a bunch of the top officials there. What did you learn?
Well, I learned that my friends in the Justice Department, like Attorney General Pam Bondi and her Chief of Staff, Chad Mizell, and the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and his top deputy, Amel Bove, and great people like Gail Slater and Harmeet Dillon and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino. They are Stanley Woodward. President Trump has a rock-solid team at the Justice Department, and they are doing really good work. And even if we don't see flashy headlines on good work, it's definitely happening. So
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I know people get anxious when you don't see screaming headlines, but I promise that there are good people doing great work.
I just want to dig in on kind of your thinking and who you are as you assess this, because you've never been shy about calling out people on your own side, for that matter, who are moving too slowly, who aren't administering justice the way it needs to be done. So in your discerning view, you go into that room, and did you enter with a different interpretation? Did you bring those same questions in, like, hey, what's happening here? Did you leave with a different point of view?
No, because I've been in regular contact with these people since before the inauguration. I know what's going on.
Got it.
Look, I've worked in the Justice Department several times. I've worked in the White House. I've worked in the House. I've worked in the Senate. I know how government works. I know that you have to get people nominated and confirmed and set up before they can do anything, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have acting people there, and President Trump has already done big things with his executive orders at the Justice Department, and Pam Bondi and Amel Bove and Todd Blanche and the others have done big things already at the Justice Department. And just one example, the Southern District of New York is this island in the justice system where they think that they report to nobody. Under our Constitution, federal prosecutors report to the Deputy Attorney General, who reports to the Attorney General, who reports to the President of the United States, who's elected by all Americans. But you have many of these federal prosecutors around the country and federal agents, particularly in the FBI, who don't think they report to anyone. And that has very much changed in the Southern District of New York. They call it the Sovereign District of New York because they think that they don't report to anyone. Well, Amel Bove went in and gave them an attitude adjustment on about day one. And remember Danielle Sassoon? You heard her name for about 3 minutes. She made her headlines. No one hears about Danielle Sassoon anymore because she's not working for the Trump administration.
So when you talk about the action that will be coming, when people think action, what they think is prosecutions. They think handcuffs, prosecutions. Is that what you're referring to?
Possibly. And I would say this, that there has to be systemic changes to the Justice Department, which is happening. They're cutting a lot of people out of the Justice Department. They're firing people. They're reassigning people. They're making the structural changes. So we're not playing whack-a-mole going forward. So or putting a Band-Aid over a gaping wound. And so they're actually going in and fixing the real systemic problems at main justice and at the various litigating divisions, and also at the FBI. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are doing a hell of a good job. And
so you're talking about you're getting to a key point, which is kind of the order of events. Because we started the show today with that New Mexico judge who had a Tren de Aragua member living in his house. And that's kind of an open and shut case. They found this guy. They knew he was Tren de Aragua. They knew he was living with the judge. There's all sorts of ludicrous evidence from like how the guy was living with them and holding guns and ridiculousness. And so they saw, okay, the guy violated the law. The judge and his wife were arrested yesterday. The FBI arrested these guys. And you're like, good, that's the kind of speed you want to see. What you're describing, the internal problems that are inside the Justice Department of the FBI, it sounds like what they have to do first is undertake reforms, and then we could see the prosecutions. Is that the kind of the order of events, the sequence?
You have to get rid of the deep state actors. If you don't get rid of the deep state actors, everything that they try to do is going to be whack-a-mole or a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. You have to get rid of the cancer in the body first, right? And that's what they're doing. This is chemotherapy. This is radiation. And this is so much more important than any one indictment or any one arrest. When you're making systemic changes, you're shocking the system at the Justice Department, including the FBI, so you can get that deep state beast tamed. Right? You don't see a lot of people running to the press anymore because they're. I think Amel Bove, if you just look, he's a friend of mine, but if you just look at the guy, he looks like a political serial killer. So I think Amel has done a very good job of reminding these Justice Department officials that they work for the Deputy Attorney General, who works for the Attorney General, who works for the President, who's elected by all Americans.
So let me unfurl one of the things that has raised concern on the right, and I addressed this yesterday. I was talking about Dan Bongino and the efforts that they're undertaking, and I'm very happy with how aggressive the FBI has been on so many crimes. Recruitment is exploding. They're catching the top three of the top 10 most wanted. There's a lot of good indicators going on, but one thing that stands out is they promoted a guy called Steve Jensen in the Washington field office, who the right is very skeptical of, and for good reason, because he was a part of the crew that was going after parents at school board meetings and January 6 people. And so most of us on the outside are looking at that guy going, well, he's one of the abusers. How did he end up in a role like this? And I mentioned yesterday that on the very same date we found out that news, FBI Deputy Director Bongino posted, hey, if there are things that look like they're counterintuitive to our mission, you just have to trust that what we're doing in the end is the right thing. So basically, that's a long way of me asking you, Mike Davis, what do you make of moves like that, and what should we make of them?
I'm not familiar with that particular move, but I fully trust Kash Patel and Dan Bongino.
Yeah.
They're about as far away from deep state puppets as you can get. Remember when President Trump picked Kash Patel, everyone said he was dead on arrival. And then the Article 3 project had about, what, 250,000 phone calls into their home state senators and gave these senators an attitude adjustment.
Yeah.
In about 3 days, they went from dead on arrival to when can he start. So just look, give these guys the room they need to get the job done. They are making systemic changes.
Yes.
This is something that no Republican has done ever, and this is something that should have been done decades ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you get the systems in place, once you build the car or rebuild the car, then you can drive the car.
Okay, last one on this, and then I want to ask you about judges real fast. And thank you as always for your time, Mike. So you think that this isn't too big for the president's team to handle? That this is not, it's not too entrenched for them to conquer?
No, and if there's any team that can do this, it's the team at the Justice Department now. President Trump's team now with Pam and Todd and Chad and Amel,
Yeah.
and Stan and so many good people over there. Harmeet, Gail, Omid. There are so many good people in the Justice Department right now, and these are bold, serious reformers. I know all of them. They're my friends. I wouldn't vouch for them if I didn't think that they would do the job. I'm, like you said, Vince, I'm not exactly a quiet person, and frankly, I'm the most harsh with my criticism of people on our side because I have higher expectations for conservatives than I do for Marxists. I want Marxists to rot in hell. I want conservatives to succeed.
Amen. Okay. Judges now. So I've been going down for whatever reason. Yesterday was a big day for a bunch of district judges to block President Trump's executive orders all across the country. And these are, you go down the list, they're all Democrat appointed judges, Obama judges, Clinton judges, Biden judges, obviously, including one yesterday, a judge who said that the president cannot make it so that you have to ask for proof of citizenship when registering to vote. The Democrat plaintiffs in the case, including Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, they say this will damage them. They will damage their ability to be reelected if you have to prove you're a citizen to register to vote. They're giving the whole game away. What can we do about these judges, Mike? What can we do about these guys who keep interfering?
Well, the best thing that you hear about voter ID is that somehow it's discrimination against black people. Like black people don't have the wherewithal to get a driver's license or a government ID like the rest of Americans. Like we just need white liberals to save them. Hey, go find a black friend, liberals, and take them to the driver's license place, and then help them get a driver's license because they don't have the wherewithal to get it, according to these Democrats. I mean, what racist, just bad faith argument they're making. It's clear what they want. They want illegal immigrants that they're mass importing into this country, 15 million of them.
Yeah.
They want them to register to vote and vote Democrat, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole plan with this. This is why they've opposed voter ID. This is why they opposed the SAVE Act. I would say to these judges, these activist judges, stay in your lane. Your job is to decide cases and controversies of the parties before your court with redressable claims. Nothing more, nothing less. You have a really important job. It's a crucial job, but it's a modest job. That's your Article 3 standing. That's your Article 3 power. When these judges take off their judicial robes, and they do one of two things. They either put on their capes, they think they're superheroes, these narcissists who get to fly around and save everyone.
Yeah.
Even some of these Republican justices do this from time to time. Maybe even my old boss does this from time to time. Superhero Neil Gorsuch or General Gorsuch does it from time to time. Not as much as the Democrats, but General Gorsuch does it from time to time too. I mean, he plays a wonderful superhero. Like last Good Friday, he did that. But I would also say judges wear robes, not capes, and if judges take off their judicial robes and climb into the political arena and throw political punches, expect to receive a political knockout from the article.
So here's what I want to know. Why isn't the United States Supreme Court jumping in right away to stop all of these abuses? Because, I know earlier this year, Chief Justice Roberts was lecturing President Trump. He was like, hey, don't you dare call for the impeachment of district judges. Like, let the appeals process play out. And then this past weekend, as you just noted, the Supreme Court jumped the whole appeals process to try and gum up the president's immigration agenda. And so now it's a perfect opportunity. The Supreme Court could step up here, couldn't they, Mike?
They could if they wanted to, and this is at the doorstep of the Chief Justice, John Roberts, or Commanding General John Roberts, as we saw last Friday, because we had seven, as you just mentioned, Vince, on Friday, we had seven Supreme Court justices who ran in and enjoined the President of the United States. I think for the first time in American history, you cannot enjoin the President. You can enjoin lower officers. You cannot enjoin the President. They enjoined the President of the United States and told him that he cannot continue with an ongoing military operation to deport the worst terrorist of the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
Apparently, the president's not the commander-in-chief anymore. He has to get permission from these seven generals on the Supreme Court. And they did this before the district court ruled, before the Fifth Circuit ruled, before the Solicitor General submitted the government's position on this. I mean, again, these are not judges in robes. These are narcissist superheroes wearing capes.
Yeah. And so, but the Supreme Court could bring these district judges to heel if it wanted to.
Well, I mean, I think they're part of the problem, as we just saw on Good Friday. And so who needs to bring them to heel? Who needs to bring the whole federal judiciary to heel is Congress. They need to cut the spending. They need to have oversight hearings. I was the chief counsel for nominations on the Senate Judiciary Committee. I had the oversight portfolio for the federal judiciary. Judges don't think they're subject to oversight, so haul their asses in for oversight just to prove that you have that power, Congress. Cut their funding, cut their jurisdiction, make their lives living hell until they get back in their life.
You know, I have a crazy idea. Trump should threaten to court pack until they start behaving.
100%. I think that's a great idea, Vince. What do we have, 9 now? And we have 7 of them who are narcissistic Looney Tunes who think they can join the president. So it sounds like we need 6 more.
FDR did it. That was the whole idea. FDR threatened to pack the court.
15 justices. Yeah. So we'll have 8 justices who will follow the Constitution, and then 7 narcissistic Looney Tunes who think they're going to go save rapists and murderers and you know, in El Salvador. So they can moonlight as the commanding generals and you know, the ACLU lawyers to go save MS-13 gangbangers. Maybe those 7 can get the MS-13 tattoos on their knuckles for solidarity.
Yeah, baby.
But for the other 8, so that after we pack the court, the 8 who are going to follow the Constitution, we can actually get things done.
At least we have Thomas and Alito still. I love those guys. Hey, thank you very, very much, Mike Davis with the Article 3 Project, sir. Always good to talk to you, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, be well. That's Mike Davis. Thank you again to him for stopping by. Yeah, the court packing thing, you know, it is true. You know, FDR was not getting what he wanted out of the United States Supreme Court. So he just started threatening to pack the court. And then all of a sudden the court was brought to heel. The court was like, wait a second. We'll comply. We'll do whatever you want. And then they did. They did that going forward. And that is what the left attempted to do under Joe Biden, I'll remind you. That's what all of that court packing stuff was about. They would say, "Oh, let's contemplate packing the court, or we're going to launch a panel. How can we reform the court? What could we impose on the court?" It was constantly meant, all the ethics debates, all the nonsense you heard from the left. It was constantly meant to rattle the cage of the Supreme Court until they were giving them favorable decisions. It was meant to work the refs. So I don't know. Maybe Trump should do it. Maybe Trump. Hey, let's pack the court. He could declare until the court's like, well, wait a second. We'll stop these district judges from acting crazy. No need to pack it. This will be totally constitutional going forward. So we'll see. But yes, that is actually the history of that wild court packing debate. And these judges are really crazy. And I had another federal judge yesterday who just blocked the Trump administration from stopping racism in schools. An Obama-appointed judge blocked the Trump administration from banning discriminatory practices in schools yesterday. Yep, yet another one. Obama-appointed judge Landaya McCafferty is getting in the way here. As President Trump said, hey, get rid of this racially prejudiced nonsense. DEI, get rid of the bigotry. No more. It's a violation of the law. It's a violation of the Civil Rights Act. It's unacceptable in our country. And this judge saying, no, we need to keep it. We need racial bigotry in the schools. So yet another judge interfering in the affairs of the president yesterday. So more needs to be done here. Clearly, more needs to be done here. We've also got some a warning here on the left's behavior from Victor Davis Hanson that I want to share with you. I think this is really important. Here is a cut 3. Victor Davis Hanson this week on his own program mentioning that the left is doing it again. They're whipping their base into a deadly frenzy. Take a look at this.
They are lowering the bar on what's permissible, and we're going to see something like we saw with these 2 assassinations. I don't want to predict it. I hope it never happens. But if they keep this language up, and you start to see polls that say 50% of self-identified leftists think it's okay to shoot, and you see them romanticizing a assassin like Mangione, and you see them go fund a alleged murderer like Carmelo Anthony, and basically saying that he was a victim, and you see this M13 wife beater who was pulled over for trafficking and let go.
Yes.
And was found. Yes, everybody, he was found by a immigration judge to have M13 ties. Even his wife did not deny it. She didn't deny that she was beaten by him either. So that is the people who they are supporting, and they all have one thing in common. They all have committed violent acts, and they're romanticized. And it reminds me when I was in college, I remember, or high school, I think it was, Rolling Stones' Jan Wiener said that Manson was innocent, and they romanticized him for a while. The left really did. So my point is that that they are creating a climate of fear and legitimizing violence, and something's going to happen.
Okay, that's good right there. And this is what you're seeing from Victor Davis Hanson. It's an excellent summary, delivered in only the way that he can deliver it. But the left, this is why it matters so much. Every so often it's like, well, why are we talking about the way the left is talking, and why are we giving that airtime? Because you have to know what they're doing to this country. You have to know. You have to pick this up. They are speaking to weak-minded people. They are inflaming them. And those weak-minded, inflamed people are committing horrific acts of violence, believing they're doing it in the service of some sort of higher moral good. It's a by any means necessary approach. This is the bottom of calling your political enemies Hitler, and constantly saying that there's something existential about them winning an election. It's going to end the whole country. This is the language that they use on the left of saying that our democracy is under attack. And on the right, people quibble, well, we're not technically a democracy, we're a constitutional republic. Yes, that's all true. But you understand the language is designed to basically say something good is being taken away and you're never going to get it back. This is the way that they act. Now, it's lunacy. President Trump, of course, is the opposite of that. President Trump is a guy who seeks to appeal to voters more so than any other politician of my lifetime. He cares sincerely about what voters actually want. He works very hard to get their votes. He's desperate for their approval in a good way, in a positive, healthy way. He takes no salary to be in the job. All of the crap that's been thrown at him, he has dealt with in legal ways. He's complied with ludicrous court orders. He showed up to court appearances that he should have never had foisted upon him. He goes to New York. He deals with all the crap in Georgia. He deals with all of this from all these special counsels. He keeps on dealing with the system as it is and fighting within the terms of that system, even when his political opponents are being as cruel and tyrannical and as fascistic as you can possibly be. So it's not Trump who's threatening our constitutional republic. It's the left who's abusing all of those powers to crush its opposition and then inflaming their own weak base into acts of violence in order to uphold and advance left-wing power. And if not left-wing power, just introduce the whole country into chaos. They are agents of chaos. And so remember, in the lead up to the Butler assassination attempt, it was the rare person in media who was saying out loud, hey guys, you see where this is going, right? You see how far the left has driven its base to these lunatic levels. Someone is going to try and kill him. You remember that? Tucker Carlson was saying that. Dan Bongino was saying that. I was saying that. This is going to crazy levels very quickly. And then, of course, it happened multiple occasions last year. The president of the United States getting shot last year. And you think the threat has subsided? Definitely not. Definitely not. This is why it is so important that we, first of all, that you can open the mind of your fellow American first. You get to them first. And if they're being programmed here by the left, you've got to figure out a way to help break them free. Encourage their skepticism. Get them to be critical of the sources that they turn to. That's all you need to do. They don't need to be a Trump voter today. They just need to be skeptical of the people they've been listening to for a while. And so Victor Davis Hanson with a very important warning here. We have a great country. We have such a good country. And I don't know about you. I just don't want anybody to ruin it at all. All right, I finished today with a video that I can make fun of here. Everyone's lots of great conversation as always in the chat. Thank you to the Rumble chat. I'll leave you with a gift. Here's Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers welcoming the NFL draft to his state yesterday. Look at the ludicrous video that he put up to do it.
Go on, Tony.
That's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. That might be, I don't know, it's not the worst. It's up there, though. It's one of the worst attempts at throwing a football I've ever seen. Governor Tony Evers on his shorefront property throwing a football to himself. This is tragic video editing, too, by the way. Look at this. It's unbelievable. Look at there's no spiral on that. That's just a sidearm girl throw. Sorry, ladies. There's lots of women who could throw that ball a lot better than Tony Evers can. You know, I got to say, for years, I've had this idea, and it's a free idea. Anyone can do it. If a left-wing protest is going on in your town, I am begging you to execute this vision. And if you do it, we'll play it right here on the show. Take a camera, go to the protest, bring a football, and ask the protesters to throw it. That's all you have to do. Just film lefty protesters trying to throw a football, and you're going to have one of the biggest viral hit sensations anyone has ever devised. That's free. I'm just giving that away. Just giving that bad boy away. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Thank you for following me here. Follow me on social media wherever you can. Always appreciate the live chat, rumble.com/Vince. You guys are amazing. People love the football throw idea. Go out and do it. I swear, I'll play it right here on the show. And in the meantime, have a fantastic weekend. Thanks again for tuning in to Vince. Up next, Steven Crowder live on Rumble.